When you think about sleep, it's actually a really bizarre behavior. If you had to design an organism from scratch, would you include a 6 or 7 hour period of the day where it basically shuts down completely? Would you make this shutdown time so important that if the organism doesn't shut down, it becomes completely miserable and unable to function? It seems like a really bad design. And there are animals out there that don't need sleep. For example, the Alpine Swift has a really long migration pattern where it might not land for 200 days. And you can't really sleep while you're flying. Oh, and you better believe that the US military was interested in that bird. Imagine an army that doesn't sleep. So why do we have this behavior called sleep? These little so-called slices of death? Well, maybe you're thinking that our bodies and our brains need rest. Okay, fair point. But our brains are quite active during sleep, so it's not a complete state of rest. Another theory is that it's an evolutionary strategy to avoid getting eaten at night. Well, this one also doesn't explain sleep because animals in nature that are at high risk of being eaten do tend to sleep less. So considering the fact that an average person will spend 25 years of their life asleep, it's a pretty poorly understood behavior. But let's take a look at what we do know. Our sleep patterns follow a circadian rhythm, and circadian rhythms are the internal biological processes that regulate the sleep-wake cycle over a 24-hour period. These cycles are influenced by environmental cues, particularly the light-dark cycle of day and night. And this cycle is tracked on a biological level in your hypothalamus. And circadian rhythms are an extremely old trait evolutionarily. In fact, sleep evolved before brains did. The Hydra doesn't have a brain, but it does slow down in a way that meets the basic criteria for sleep. So this process is clearly very old and very important. So what's going on in humans when we doze off? Well, when you fall asleep, you begin to go through sleep cycles. In a good night of sleep, you could complete 4 to 6 cycles. And the sleep cycle refers to the progression through different stages of sleep. It consists of 2 main types of sleep: non-rapid eye movement sleep and rapid eye movement sleep. Researchers are able to recognize which stage of sleep you're in by looking at EEG readings that track brainwaves. But before we go into sleep, let's talk about wakefulness really quick. While you're awake, your brain can generate a few different types of brainwaves depending on your level of cognitive engagement. While you're doing difficult cognitive work like reading some new material you've never seen before or taking an exam, your brain is going to be generating gamma waves. Gamma waves are intense. Anything above a frequency of 30 hertz is going to be in gamma wave territory. By the way, hertz is a measure of frequency that you can just think of meaning squiggles per second. So 30 hertz is 30 squiggles per second. That's a lot of squiggles. If you're awake but not really doing intense cognitive work, then your brain is probably producing beta waves. Beta waves have a frequency ranging from 12 to 30 hertz. If you're awake but really relaxed, maybe you're meditating, laying down with your eyes closed, just chilling out, then your brain might be producing alpha waves, and these waves have a frequency between 8 and 12 hertz. Once we move beyond alpha waves, then we're bordering on sleep. The first 3 stages of sleep are called NREM sleep, which means non-rapid eye movement. NREM 1 is the transition stage between wakefulness and sleep. It's a light sleep stage, and brainwave patterns slow down. In this stage, you'll get theta waves with a frequency between 4 and 8 hertz. And if you wake someone up out of NREM 1, sometimes they'll tell you that they weren't even asleep. Now let's look at stage 2. Stage 1 and 2 both have theta waves with a frequency between 4 and 8 hertz. But stage 2 is a deeper stage of sleep, and it has sleep spindles and K complexes. Sleep spindles are short bursts of brain activity, while K complexes are sudden, high-amplitude waveforms. Moving on to NREM 3, which is also called slow-wave sleep or deep sleep, it's characterized by the presence of really slow delta brainwaves. Delta waves have a high amplitude and a frequency of 1 to 4 hertz. That can be as slow as 1 squiggle per second. This type of deep sleep is crucial for restorative processes, such as tissue repair, hormone production, and memory consolidation. And after NREM 3, things get weird. The final stage in a sleep cycle is REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. During REM sleep, your brain produces all the brain waves that you'd see in a person that is awake. You can see gamma, beta, and theta waves. This stage of sleep is characterized by rapid eye movements, vivid dreaming, and heightened brain activity. And when you're dreaming, you often try to move your body like you would when you're awake. And it would be pretty bad if we actually moved while we're asleep, So our brains release a complex cocktail of neurotransmitters to paralyze our bodies while we're asleep. That's right, every single night you become temporarily paralyzed. And things get really scary if you regain consciousness before these neurochemicals wear off. It's possible to wake up with your body still paralyzed by these chemicals. To make this phenomenon even more terrifying, your brain in this state is capable of producing dreamlike hallucinations. And this spooky phenomenon has been immortalized in art for centuries. We call this effect sleep paralysis, and most people will experience it at least a few times in their life. And while we're at it, let's take a look at some other sleep disorders. First up, we've got insomnia. Insomnia is a sleep disorder characterized by difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or not experiencing enough restorative sleep. It can be caused by various factors, including stress, anxiety, underlying medical conditions, or just lifestyle factors. Next up is narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a neurological disorder that affects the brain's ability to regulate sleep-wake cycles. It's characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness, sudden and uncontrollable sleep attacks, like you can be fully awake 1 second and then instantly fall asleep the next. So if you're diagnosed with narcolepsy, then you'll have to get regular checkups and take medication if you want to keep your driver's license. Next is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a disorder where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. It occurs due to a partial or complete obstruction of the airway, leading to brief awakenings throughout the night. Alright, last one. Night terrors, also known as sleep terrors, are episodes of intense fear or terror that occur during sleep, and it usually occurs during the NREM sleep stage. And that means that they're different than nightmares, because a nightmare is a bad dream, and dreams tend to occur during REM sleep. Okay, that's an overview of sleep. Now we're going to start looking at how we sense and perceive our environment.